hurled down the drain. No Michelle. Tory ran into the hall. Bright red drops trailed on the floor all the way to Michelle's closed bedroom door. Tory charged forward and gripped the handle, then burst inside her daughter's room. It was chaos. The clothes from Michelle's closet were flung all over the room along with the contents of every drawer in her dresser and desk. Her basketball trophies, photos, and books were swept off the bookshelves. Then Tory's gaze fell upon a skull and crossbones painted in red on the wall over her daughter's bed. Fear flashed down her spine. "Get out!" screamed through her mind. As she spun around, her heart thumping against her ribcage, her gaze fell on the window. The lower glass pane shattered. Tory raced into the hallway while fumbling for her phone in her jacket pocket. She made a call to Michelle, but it went to voicemail. She really wanted to believe that her daughter was probably fine and on the basketball court. Her cell phone left in her locker in the girls' dressing room. She tried Emma's mom's number, but it went to voicemail too. Tory didn't have a good feeling about this. The symbol of Medeiros with the skull and crossbones symbol tattooed on his arm as he strutted from the courtroom entered her mind again. He was behind this. He had to be. As she rushed into the kitchen, grabbed her purse and headed for her car, she called the police chief, Paul Drake. When he answered, she slid behind the steering wheel and started her SUV. "Paul, someone has broken into my house." She took a gulp of air. "And trashed my daughter's bedroom. The bathroom. There's blood everywhere." She tried to shake the image from her mind. She couldn't. "Tory, where are you now?" "I can't get hold of Michelle. There's a skull and crossbones on the wall in her bedroom. That's Medeiros' gang symbol." She rambled while she drove as fast as she could. Tory saw the stop sign too late and slammed on her brakes as a driver at the intersection pulled out to the cross. She jerked the steering wheel to avoid the vehicle and sent her Chevy into a spin. "Where are you?" Paul asked in a firm, no-nonsense voice. Tory tried to control her panic. All she could hear was the thunder of her heartbeat in her ears. "Tory, what happened?" "Pull it together. I almost had a wreck." She backed up and turned her car in the right direction, her sweaty palms slipping on the steering wheel. "I tried calling Michelle. She didn't answer. I'm going to the high school gym and praying Michelle wasn't at the house when someone came in. Praying she isn't kidnapped or worse." She banned the last thought from her mind. "I'll send some officers to your house. I'll meet you at the gym." "Hurry. Medeiros has retaliated before against family members of people who have opposed him." But she didn't say that out loud. Going after her or her family members wouldn't really help Medeiros' case. There was always another prosecutor who could take over. It made more sense that Medeiros would put his effort into intimidating the star witness. But then she had the father in hiding and guarded. Few people knew where, except her and the U.S. Marshals. Would Medeiros have her daughter kidnapped to find where the star witness was kept? The image of the skull and crossbones over Michelle's bed mocked that question. Medeiros would do whatever he pleased. Tory sped up, praying to God to keep her daughter protected. She didn't know what she would do if she lost another loved one, especially her daughter. As Cade Morgan drove toward his family ranch on the outskirts of El Rio, Texas, he realized it was later than he'd thought. He had only 15 or 20 minutes to grab something to eat, check on his dog to see if she'd given birth yet, and then head back to the high school gym for the basketball game. This would be the first time he'd seen Michelle playing on the Mustang High School girls' freshman and sophomore team. Seeing his daughter was the reason he'd taken the job in El Rio, covering this part of the state as a Texas Ranger. He couldn't be part of her life openly, and years ago he'd accepted that. But he still wanted to be involved with her as much as he could be. He needed to talk to Tory, his high school sweetheart, about what that could possibly be. He'd been back home for only 3 weeks, and in that time he'd been helping the police chief and sheriff to strengthen the case against Medeiros that had gone to trial a couple of days ago. If he was honest with himself, he'd been putting off talking with Tory. When the Texas Ranger position came up, he'd wondered if it had been a sign from God that it was time for him to return home to live after 17 years. As he turned onto the highway that led out of town, his cell phone rang. "What's up, Paul?" The police chief in El Rio, a town with a population of 20,000 and the county seat, had been a good friend when Cade grew up here. It had been nice renewing that friendship. "I've sent 2 officers to Tory Carson's house. She just called. Someone broke into her house and trashed her daughter's bedroom. One of the windows was broken. She said blood is everywhere." Michelle's room. Cade made a quick U-turn.